In 2023, I got the opportunity to load for newer cartridges, such as the one in front of me, the 6.5 PRC. I also got to reload and test out the 6.8 Western. Both of those cartridges shot well. They were fun to shoot. They were accurate. And whenever I did a video on one of these newer cartridges, it's kind of the case with all of the videos I do with newer cartridges, I will usually get probably an older gentleman that will say, nothing new under the sun. So what does that really mean? Well, it's usually a dig at the new cartridges that, well, the older ones have been doing it and there's really no need for this newer cartridge. So today's video, we are going to dive into that subject of, is it really a case of an old dog not willing to learn new tricks, or wisdom from someone with a lot of experience? Let's find out. 2 months ago, I was able to reload and test at the range the new 6.8 Western. We loaded it up with a 165 grain AccuBond long range. And the video I'm about to show you is the results of a ladder test that we were looking for pressure, and we really wanted to see what kind of velocity we could get.
2875.
We're going to go ahead now for 60 grains.
Go ahead. 2949.
This is basically a max load.
Yep. So
You ready?
61 grains. Yep.
Max load.
2974.
Now our last one, 62 grains.
I mean, it's natural to me. I can't really tell you how to do it.
Oh, 3051.
I remember at the time we were pretty darn happy. We got 3,050 feet per second with a 165 grain. Now bear in mind, this is with a 26-inch barrel, and that 3,050 feet per second load was overpressure. Realistically, with that gun, I think max with a 165 is 3,000 feet per second. And again, that's pretty good. And then I started thinking, something just kept coming to mind. Nothing new under the sun. The cartridge that kept coming to mind when I was thinking of that 6.8 Western load was this guy, the 30-06 Springfield. Let's go ahead and look at the data with a 165 grain. Okay, and interestingly enough, they also have a 168 grain AccuBond long range and a top velocity of 3,000 feet per second. Now it's compressed and it's really pushing it in a 30-06. I definitely think you'd need a 24-inch barrel, but I also think this is extremely doable.
30-06, 150 grain Nosler ballistic with 6.5 stay ball.
Okay. Woo! Almost 3,200 feet per second.
My friend's 30-06, which is a Winchester XPR with a 24-inch barrel with a 150 grain bullet, he was getting a bit over the book velocity. And honestly, it was just a max load in the Hodgdon data with 6.5 stay ball. So it's not over pressure. It's not over what the book says you should be loading it. This is very doable. Let's do a quick ballistic comparison between a 6.8 Western and a 30-06. We are going to use Nosler's AccuBond long range. They both have 165-ish grain bullets with pretty decent high BC. 6.8 Westerns 165 has a BC of 0.620, and with a muzzle velocity of 3,000 feet per second, your energy almost 3,300 foot-pounds out to 400. I think most game is taken within 400 yards. Bolts going 2415 feet per second. There's 23.3 inches of drop when sighted in at 100, and your energy 2,137 foot-pounds. So let's see how the old 30-06 compares with the 168 grain AccuBond long range with a BC of 0.525, muzzle velocity of 3,000 feet per second. Your energy is just a little bit more because it's just a little bit heavier bullet, 3358 foot-pounds. Then at 400 yards, it's within 100 feet per second of it. I mean, it does have a lower BC, 2317. 1.1 inches more of drop than a 6.8 Western. That's not bad. And then almost within 100 foot-pounds of a 6.8 Western. This is really close to matching a 6.8 Western. Now, the next argument you could make is, well, 6.8 Western is a modern cartridge with modern design. It's going to be more accurate inherently than a 30-06 that has a design from 1906. Now, I think accuracy really comes down to the quality of your ammo and, most importantly, the quality of your rifle. Also, the guy shooting the gun too is pretty important too. I've gotten phenomenal accuracy with the 30-06. This is the 165 grain normal AccuBond. That's getting about a 1/4 inch group. I think the 30-06 is plenty accurate. Easily one of the most popular cartridges today is this guy, the 6.5 PRC. And this past year I got a chance to reload for it, test it, see how fast it is, see how accurate it is. It's pretty darn good. So what we loaded up with is a 143 grain ELDX. It was out of a 24-inch barrel. We were getting just under 3,000 feet per second. And the best group we could get out of it is about a 0.3 inch group. Pretty darn good. Now the 6.5 PRC is a darn good cartridge. There's a reason it is one of the most popular today. But I started thinking again, 140 grain bullet, 3,000 feet per second. I wonder what another cartridge that's pretty darn popular that pushes a 140 grain bullet at 3,000 feet per second. Oh yeah, 270 Winchester. You might be thinking, is this guy really going to compare one of the best 6.5s, modern, accurate, to the ultimate FUD cartridge? Yeah, I'm going to. Let's see how they compare downrange 6.5 PRC with a 143 grain ELDX. Using the data we are basically getting with my dad's rifle with a 24-inch barrel, 3,000 feet per second. Yes, you could probably get more. This was a max load with Retumbo though. And we're getting 2858 foot-pounds. Pretty good. 400 yards, bullets going 2419, 23.2 inches of drop. Mid 1,800 foot-pounds. Now let's see what the 270 does with this 145 ELDX at 3,000 feet per second. Again, you could definitely get more, especially with the 24-inch barrel. 2898 foot-pounds, so a little advantage out of the muzzle. 400 yards, the bullet is going 2330, so a little bit slower, about 90 feet per second slower. Less than an inch difference, though, at 400 yards with drop. And about 110 foot-pounds less of energy. Again, 270 is holding its own. So is there truth to there's nothing new under the sun? Yeah, I think there is a little bit of truth. But I also don't think it doesn't hurt at all to have a newer cartridge. Like, why not, right? They're all fun. They're all great. Why not? The real reason I made this video is to, well, beware of the hype of the new cartridges. These companies need ways to sell more cartridges and rifles. And so sometimes it's a little misleading. My point is, if you have a precision cartridge, there's really no need to thump your chest over the internet or talk it up at a hunting camp, because there's cartridges that have been there and done that already.